80% of success in any discipline is mental. This video is about how to transform your mind into your most valuable asset. How can you make sure that you never get in your own way and you are ready to tackle any challenge, no matter how difficult or how much pressure you may be going through. Welcome back. My name is Castillo, founder of Selfmastered, Peak Performance Institute for entrepreneurs. We help entrepreneurs scale with peak clarity, focus, discipline, and self-belief. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing because we release a few juicy videos every week to help you scale the easy way. So today's video is about how to transform your mind into your most valuable asset. We're going to understand what is an empowering mindset, what does that look like, and more importantly, how to gauge how empowering our mindset is. And if it's not empowering enough, then what subtle changes we can do in our routine. What is the protocol that you can leverage in order to, over time, create that powerful mindset? But everything starts by realizing that there's a core fundamental idea that needs to be internalized, which is the fact that reality, what happens to you or me, is neutral, right? Is that neither good or bad? Reality just is. And it is our responsibility to assign meaning to reality, to the experiences that helps us move forward. And this is one of the key distinctions between average performers and elite performers. Average performers, as I define them, is pretty much everyone that has never trained their mental performance. They tend to believe that failure is always a proof that they are not good enough for doing what they are doing. Every time frustration arises, they give up on what they're trying to do. When they get feedback, they take it personally and they assign a negative meaning to it. In essence, having a disempowering mindset is, a key characteristic of average performers. And this is what Carol Dweck, which is a psychologist from Harvard, will define as fixed mindset, which in essence is believing that there's a limit to your abilities and you cannot further develop yourself into a much better version of yourself through conscientious practice. Elite performers, on the other side, have an infinite comfort zone. They are happy with whatever life throws at them, which is why they take more risk, even though they may lead to momentarily failures. Because to them, failures are just feedback. There's information that they can use to course correct effectively. When things get tough, they persevere, which is why they are able to achieve more than average performers. They filter reality through a lens that basically says, I am able to tackle everything that life throws at me. And this is a key concept called self-efficacy that Albert Bandura discussed 25 years ago. It is your ability to figure things out, the confidence in your abilities to get things done. This is one of the key characteristics of elite performers, and this is why we help our clients become elite performers by training their mind, because the mind is the most important tool you will ever have. Now, how do you sharpen this? How do you improve your mind? Well, first you need to understand how empowering your mindset is. And the number one way of gauging this is through your self-talk. As Jim Lohr, performance psychologist who wrote The Power of Full Engagement, fantastic book, self-talk is the real power broker in our lives. And even Tim Grover, which was Michael Jordan's performance coach, said that the mental game and self-talk was the real thing that made Michael Jordan special. So self-talk is a telltale sign of your mindset. If you have a disempowering self-talk, that is proof that your overall mindset is fixed. When you have a disempowering self-talk, every problem becomes a catastrophe. Major mishaps take you out of the game and you stop seeing a solution for everyday problems. If every time you're faced with a situation you don't know how to navigate, you have a little voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, you're never going to amount to anything, this is just not meant for you, people are smarter than you, are going to wipe you out. You have all of this negative mental game and mental self-talk going on, you are not going to really persevere and win. On the other side, elite performers are the total opposite. Every time they're faced with a situation, they know how to create an empowering self-talk. that tells them that they're perfectly fit with what they're doing, that this minor failure is just proof that they're trying hard enough, that this problem is an opportunity, that every mishap is one more milestone that they have to go through in order to win at a game that others will never attempt. This is the difference between average and elite performers. Now, the question is, how do you nurture a winning self-talk? How do you go from thinking you're an absolute failure to thinking you are a winner just in development? How do you go from believing that every mishap is a major catastrophe to being absolutely certain that every mishap is just one more sign that you are moving in the right direction? By understanding how self-talk works and how you can shape a winning one. Before I tell you how this works, if you have any problem with this, consider booking a call with us so we can help you really sharpen this mindset and nurture an elite self-talk. Now, how you do this is, first of all, you got to understand how self-talk works, right? Because self-talk is a proof of what are your subconscious beliefs about the activity that you are doing that is triggering that self-talk. If you believe you're subconsciously fit for the situation, then that self-talk tends to be positive. But if you feel this is not for you, if you have some sort of subconscious fear or limitation towards the thing that you're attempting to do, then that is when negative self-talk will happen. And this is where we start, because the way to reframing your self-talk is that every time you have negative self-talk that arises, you pause and jot down what is the specific trigger that made you start talking badly to yourself, right? What is the specific situation that put you into that position? And then understand, why do you think, what you consciously believe to be the reason why you're subconsciously triggered by this situation? What is the underlying fear or negative motivation that is triggering this self-talk? Self-talk typically starts when we are young, right? We pick it up around 5 years of age by emulating the authority figures in our lives, right? So self-talk gets subconsciously built, but we can consciously rewire it once we start paying attention to what it is trying to tell us. Then step number 2 is trying to understand exactly what that might be. As I said, try to consciously rationalize why you are subconsciously believing or fearful, believing you cannot do it, or you have some sort of fear that prevents you from moving forward. And try to give yourself an explanation. Now, step number 3, and this is very powerful, is that you rewrite your narrative. So you literally write a new script for your mind. So let's assume, I'm going to give you a very personal example. So 5 years ago, when I started working in Selfmastered, I'm a Spanish national, right? I did not know how to speak in English like I'm doing right now, or much less write it. So I had this subconscious feeling that I would had trouble scaling this business because I wasn't good enough at communication. And every time I had some sort of, blackout when I was talking to someone and then, the words didn't come to me, I would start feeling like, I could never learn it. I was too old to learn it. And there was nothing that I could do about it. And I also thought that my marketing will be affected. We won't be able to scale the business, all sorts of, wild things. Even though I was already very good at parental performance, that subconscious fear kept coming back. So I did exactly what I'm telling you to do. Every time I had a communication problem or a thing that may prove that I wasn't good enough communicating in English, what I would do is I would jot down really what was the trigger. Maybe it was an email campaign that bombed, or I blacked out in the middle of a conversation, or I did not communicate with a team member the way I wanted to, and then I would rewrite the script. Hey, this is not true because of this, and I would give myself proof. You're good at communicating because you have attracted 120 clients last year through your marketing materials. You're good at communicating because this is just a minor example of a bad communication problem, but overall the company is doing great. I would have all sorts of narrative, positive narrative that I will first start writing down on a paper, and then I will tell to myself. And that made all the difference, because over time I started seeing patterns that proved that I was actually right, that even though I was not a native English speaker, I still was good enough to communicate, good enough to build products, good enough to record videos and write emails and create all sorts of marketing campaigns and learn copywriting. But I had to face that negative self-doubt. which in my case came because I believe that, people didn't understand when I spoke, which is kind of true in the beginning, right? I didn't have this accent. I have had to work this out. So as a recap, nurturing a powerful growth mindset is one of the best things you can do to guarantee success over time. And the way of gauging how powerful your mindset is through analyzing your self-talk. If you have a disempowering self-talk, then that's proof you have a fixed mindset. If you have an empowering self-talk, then you have a growth mindset. The more empowering your self-talk, the more you are able to become your best friend in your own head, the easier your business journey will be. And this is more important than trying to learn one more marketing skill, one more sales skill. Becoming your best friend, so to speak, being able to coach yourself in a productive manner will do more for your success than anything else that you learn in your journey. So I hope this was useful. This truly is one of the most impactful things you can do with your life. And you want to get deeper about why mindset doesn't really matter at all, because the role is to go deeper and understand the mind as a tool and the mindset as a lens that you can transform depending on the situation. Watch this video here. Is going to show you exactly what I mean by saying that your mindset doesn't work. Until next time.